Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for the second episode of Stationeers. In between the episodes I played a ton of this game and I have to say I discovered so much that I like and I think you're gonna like it too, judging from my past videos on Logic games. What I want to do today is a better base setup, so I'm just gonna summarize everything I'm doing up to the point that we reached in the first episode. So I'm gonna place the auto lathe, the arc furnace, I'm gonna do the power setup with the solar panel, we're gonna charge up our first large battery, and after that I'm gonna slow things down again in order to actually do the solar logic. So that's my first goal, to automate the solar panel, and also I want to create a couple more batteries for our battery charger. Now with that out of the way, let's skip to the point where we can set up the solar panel and the power module. Alright, I now have a good enough platform. This is not gonna be it. I want a really big base in order to have enough space. Now the sun actually rises from this direction and goes up here. So this is an important information because I need to set up my solar panel. Yeah, let's do it right there. And I also want to complete it right off the bat. So I'm gonna set down my glass right here. And it is going to generate power soon. However, we of course need our power module. We can find that right here, power controller. Let's actually split one apart. I only need one in the beginning, and we also take the battery. Now let me think. We're going to set up the airlock right here probably. So right here I'm gonna have a little tiny cavity I can use. So we're gonna set up the power like so. That should be good, and just hook it up. Take our wires, straight cable, and hook that up like so. We want to take our crowbar, open that up, and of course add the battery and enable it. Good, now we probably need to set up the angle of the solar panel a little bit better. The sun was actually going down. That is a pity. We didn't have a lot of sunlight. Well, that is fine. We're going to survive the first night, no problem. Alright, it is still in the middle of the night. I set up where I want to have my airlock, so the solar panel is going to be right on the outside, and we could expand solar panels towards this side. This is always going to have visibility to the sun. Right here I have my cavity with my power thingy-majingy, and on this wall I want to put down the battery cell charger. So maybe let's go ahead and actually fix up this wall right here. Now, what do we want to have? We want to have a solid generator in case we want to generate some coal power. And let me see, we can probably just do it like that and place it here. So I could hook it up with this cable right there. Before we do that though, I want to place down the auto lathe, and this is probably gonna go right here. Now let's see, I definitely want to leave myself enough space in order to set up a locker maybe right here, so we can store a couple of items. What else do we have here? Of course, the arc furnace. I think I'm gonna set up the furnace systems on the other side. So maybe if I set it up right here, I can still walk past, and in the back we can set up more chests, etc. Good, I think that is everything in terms of machinery. We could do the battery cell charger. I want to have that right here in the center more or less. Alright, time to hook stuff up. Let me see, is that working? Yes, okay, battery charger is hooked up. Now we have to go to this machine as well. And we should do that without interfering with this cable. So I probably have to take apart this wall, just a tiny little bit, so we can push some cable through it. And now I can easily take the cables and hook it up with the correct input. Just like that. Of course, that means we're going to require a three-way junction. Or actually just a normal junction it's called. I always forget. There we go. So again, in case we're lacking power, we can use coal to generate some more. The last thing we need to hook up is the auto lathe right here. So let's try to do that in a straight manner. Good. Everything is set up. We still have medium charge. That is great. I just want to make sure that the solar panel is facing the right way, which it isn't at the moment. I'm just going to turn this all the way to 0%. There we go. The sunrise is actually already upon us, so that was just in the nick of time. We're generating power once again, and we can check right over here. The battery is still in a critical state, but the lights indicate that it is charging. So maybe while we have the time, we should actually go ahead and do some mining. It is very important that we get some coal, iron, and copper in the joint. Let me actually turn that solar panel maybe 30 degrees or so we can be away a little bit. Now I figured out that mining can be done a little bit more conveniently than I showed in the previous episode. What I want to do is actually switch my tool belt here with my mining belt, and I can do that by pressing 5 for a second or so. No, I have it right here, and if I set up my tool in my hand, I can simply drill and stuff is gonna automatically go into my belt. So if I mine this coal, you can see I don't have to pick it up or anything. It just goes straight into my belt. Now that makes a ton more sense, of course. Iron we're going to need plenty of, so I can easily grab 2 or 3 stacks if I want to. It really depends on what this vein is actually giving me. Okay, that has to be good enough. We need to get back and actually adjust our solar panel before it's too late. Power generation, very important. Let's shut off the drill, put it away. Maybe we can get rid of some of the ore already, cook it up, you know. Let's see, the sun... Oh, it's actually not too bad. I was just in the nick of time. Now, this is gonna be a little annoying to actually get the tool. Well, actually, we can do it. There we go. So let's set this to 70% or so. It should be good enough, and we're gonna go search for copper now. If it has some momentum, it's sometimes going away. So look at that. If I push it, it's not gonna stop for some reason. And that's kind of weird. But as long as you don't push it, you should be alright. Good. I'm more or less empty again. I still need copper. That almost looks like copper over there. Let me see. It is copper. Great. So the only thing we're gonna be missing is a little bit of gold. And if we're lucky, that might... No, that is also copper. So that means we have a huge copper vein right at our doorstep. Thinking about it, we might be able to charge up our battery. This is probably more full than mine. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this, swap it with mine. Yeah, it just went full charge. Did you see that? This way we can hopefully make the best use of our time. I found myself one more thing I actually want, which is the oxide. So I'm just going to collect maybe 50, just one single stack of them. You must not put them on the ground when it is daytime. They're just going to vanish into thin air. Look at my hand, for instance, right now. It is... Oh, it's actually not melting. Maybe it is only melting when it's on the ground. Whoa. Yeah, there we go. It just disappeared. So that is really good to know. Ah, there we go. I think I found gold. This is the last thing I need. No, I actually also need volatiles. But gold is also good. We need that too. There we go. That is good enough. You can actually put the flooring on top of it so you don't see the cabling anymore once you're done with all your setups. But basically what I'm gonna do now is smelt, 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 and then we can start building a couple of things. I want to get started with a couple of machineries. For instance, the electronics printer is gonna be majorly important if we want to automate the solar panels. We need 20 iron, 2 gold, and 10 copper, so this is perfect. We have just 2 gold, actually. So right here, let's smelt up the 2 gold. I'm gonna grab the 50 iron already, so we can input it right there. I'm gonna smelt up some more copper, but we should have enough stuff in order to fulfill the task right here. Electronics printer, one of you, please. Thank you. And there we go. The electronics printer is done. Perfect. I want to set it up right next to the auto lathe. Yeah, that is probably not a too bad spot. Of course, we're going to expand the base towards this side, but for now, that's enough space. And then we can start building a couple of really cool things. However, before we do that, there's another thing I want to do, and that is the normal furnace right here. We also have the materials for that, so we shall start crafting right away. Maybe while we wait for the furnace, let us see what we want to create first. Battery cell, large, small. No, actually, there's something else I want to build, and that is a pipe bender. So I guess what we should do is some cable coil. With 3, we can actually already make a couple of cabling. Let me see, we can make like 6 cables. That's not too bad. That's doubling our cables, I mean, come on. Yeah, we are actually done with the furnace kit, so we need to make sure that this is not continuing. So what is the next thing I want? The hydraulic pipe bender. What do we need for that? 2 gold as well, so that is an issue. Anyways, we can still go ahead and actually place down the furnace, and I want it to be right here, and we kind of need to elevate it. This is kind of a weird thing because there's an output at the bottom, or maybe we put it down completely differently. Why the heck not? We could do it sideways. That took me a while to figure out. There should be an input for the power somewhere. Let's find it. Right here is the furnace power and data input, so that is perfect. Ah, look at that. There's actually plenty of gold around. It's just right next to my base over there. Amazing. I'm not sure what I was complaining about. Let's actually not mine too much. I'm just gonna leave some of it exposed so I can find it later. This should be enough to do the pipe bender, and then hopefully we can use the furnace properly. So first thing I want to do is swap this with the gold, cook it up. There we go. I got my 12 grams of gold, which means we can make the hydraulic pipe bender. And I'm also gonna have to expand the platform slightly because I want to attach it to the left here. There we go. Hydraulic pipe bender is completed. I want to make sure I stop the crafting. And we want to add this guy to the mix right here. Of course, that is very inconvenient at the moment, but we can craft some frames, no problem. There we go. That should do the trick. Yes, it is working. Beautiful. The only thing I really need from this guy at the moment is the passive vent. And we need 3 grams of iron for that. That is pretty easy. Let's extract all the materials from here. We're going to grab our iron, put it right in there and start the crafting. One of those guys is going to be enough, so stop the crafting. Actually, give me those materials back, so we have them all together. I'm just going to throw them on the pile here. Great, we have our passive vent. The rest of the stuff, I believe we were given in the beginning in some of the chests. Now I have them all over here. We have to search for construction supplies too. Right here we can find the construction kit with pipes. We also need the valves, and we're going to need a couple more things, but of course that is going to require 2 trips. Let's just throw everything on the ground here. Oh, my coal actually got away. There we go. Little booger. Let's just put it in here for the time being. I'm also going to need this sensor here. This is actually a daylight sensor, and everything else is not of importance, I believe. Now the daylight sensor, let's set this up right away. I want to put it right here where the sun rises. Now let's see, we could actually set it up right here, thinking about it. This is going to be perfect. Now at the moment it is of course not detecting the sun, but as soon as the sun rises, this is going to detect an angle of 0, and the higher the sun goes, the higher the angle is going to be. Now another thing I would like to do is actually set up a stairs here. This is kind of tedious to always use the jetpack. There we go, stairs only requires a little bit of iron. Oh yeah, that's going to be a lot more convenient. There we go. Staircase for me. Thank you very much. Beautiful. Now, one more thing I want to do is grab my airlocks and I want to set them up. They actually require a certain amount of space and I don't want to set up cabling or anything else that gets in its way. So we're just going to set up one here and one a little further back. And of course, for the time being, we're just going to pry them open. I also want to take apart my solar panel. I want to switch it in a different mode. So if I get this tool, yeah, there we go. We can take it apart, and I want the outputs on 2 different sides. So the power is going to be hooked up to the thing we already had. I'm going to grab my glass and complete the panel. And then we're going to need plenty of cabling to actually hook this up to our light sensor. Now, let me see. Can we go straight through the stairs here? It looks as though we can. But I'm going to need way more cables, and hopefully we can do this before sunrise. Copper goes right in there. Please turn on and give me some more cabling. I let them stack up a little bit. I think we can stop. Oh, no. They're falling down. But there we go. We're almost done. I just need to hook this up and set one more corner. Rotate right. There we go. Cool. So now we are all set up. All we need to do is print out the logic gates we need and then set it up. So the solar panels are going to automatically track the sun. Alright, so I want a couple of things from my electronics printer, and that is going to be 2 I/O logic kits. We actually need a couple of gold and copper. Let's just input everything we have at the moment. 10 gold right there, and I want to produce 2 of those guys. There's 1 right there and 2. Let's stop it. The next thing I want is 2 of these logic memories. And I'm of course going to explain what each module does and what the mathematical equation is that we're going to use. There we go. 2 logic kits. What else do we need? Logic processors. We need 2 of those as well. And after that, we have the basic logic we need. We probably need to craft a couple more cables to hook it all up. Good. I stopped the process. I also want to craft a couple of cables, as I said. Let's actually drop this on the floor so we can pick that up. And once I got enough, we are going to set things up. Okay, I want to set up my logic right here. We need to start with one of these gates, the logic readers. Now let me see, I want to turn this around so it looks into this direction. You can see the data input is on the left side if I look from here. And then the output is on the right side and the power input is on the top. So that is good. Let's place it right there. The logic reader simply reads an input such as this sensor. You can see at the moment the sun is at 81 degrees. When it is at 90 degrees, it is exactly on top of the sensor. And of course the degrees are going to increase the further the sun goes down. And this is the only thing the logic reader does. It is capable of actually reading these inputs. Next up, I want to set up my 2 memory modules. We can simply attach them here on the top, 1 and 2. These modules basically are capable of memorize one number that we're going to use in the equation. Next up, we're going to need the math gates. I'm just going to set them up like so. Of course, we still need to hook up all the in and outputs here. But this should be it. The last thing we need is, of course, the logic output. And it's not going to be a logic reader with the mouse wheel. I can change it into a batch writer. And this is exactly what we need. So I'm going to set it up like so. That should be all right. Basically, what we need to do is convert the angle of the sun into a percentage for the rotation of our solar panel. So if we look at this at the moment, the sun has 144 degrees, so it should be more than 50% tilted. Let's do it with an easy number. If we calculate 180 divided by 180 and multiply this by 100, then we get 100%. If we take half of that, so if the logic reader reads an angle of 90, which means the sun is directly on top of us, 90 divided by 180 multiplied by 100 is exactly 50%. So imagine this logic reader is going to grab the degrees from here and it's going to send it to this mathematical unit, which is dividing the current angle by 180. And of course we save the 180 in this memory slot. Then we take the result to the next mathematical unit and we multiply this by 100, which we store in this memory cell. And of course, we're going to send the result to the batch writer, which is then going to manipulate the solar panel. So I hope you understood that. If you paid attention in school, this shouldn't be too complicated of a mathematical equation. So in order to make this work, let's try to hook everything up accordingly. And I guess the same thing counts for this one. So everything should theoretically be hooked up at some point. Except this one here, that's not working. I need one more cable. How frustrating. You go right there. Perfect. Okay, now we can actually take our screwdriver and mess around with this stuff. Well, that was a lie. Actually, we need another tool that was left in the boxes. Let's see, consumables and supplies. Yeah, there we go. The labeler. We actually need a labeler. We need to enable it with O. This also runs on battery. This is going to be the solar reader. Confirm. Then we have memory. This is going to store the number 180. And this memory is going to store the number 100. Then we got the first mathematical function, which is math 180. And this is going to be math 100. Last but not least, we have the batch writer, which is going to be the solar panel adjustment. Now, with the screwdriver, we can start messing around with the inputs. For instance, the input should be the solar panel, of course. So now let's imagine we have stored the angle of the sun in this panel and we want to send it to this mathematical unit. Now, this guy is called solar reader. So this should be our input. The solar reader right there, and the second input is going to be math 100 or memory 180. And of course we want to do a division, so divide. Now that we have that, we want to move to the second mathematical unit and we want to take the output of math 180, so the result we got from that, and the second number is going to be memory 100 and we want to multiply this. There we go. The result from this is going to go into the batch writer. And of course, that's what we need to set it to. So math 100, this is where it's coming from, math 100. The output should be the solar panel, of course, right? And what we want to do is horizontal, vertical. We want a vertical adjustment of the solar panel. Of course, we still have to hook it up to the power grid. That is something we haven't done yet. So should we do it through this wall, maybe? What we want is to take this apart so we can set up a bunch of cables. And of course, those are cables I don't have, so produce a couple. We could conveniently hook it up right here. I think that is a good idea. We're just gonna go straight through here. There we go. I finally got it. And of course, we now have the power. So this is very important that the power is coming after the power module. So you want to make sure that you don't hook it up with the power directly from the solar panel, but with the power that comes out of this control unit. Anyways, let's start enabling all of these modules. We are ready, and as soon as the sun comes up, we can see it's at 0 or 1 degrees, and this is what's happening here on the solar reader. Minus, oh no, this is a minus angle, that's not good. Oh, of course, it's not the solar panel input, of course, silly me. It should be, what is it called? Daylight sensor, right there. Okay, There we go, daylight sensor, beautiful. Now we can activate it and we can see, let's see, the solar angle is what we want to check. At the moment it is 27% and that means we have infinity here, what the heck? Of course guys, silly me, there's one thing I forgot and that is to actually set up the memory. So we want to increase this by 10 until we reach 180. There we go, this is the right memory now and this should be 100 here. And now the numbers should be correct. So 58 degrees divided by 180 is 0.3, multiplied by 100 is 33 degrees and that's how the solar panel should be adjusted. And there we go, the solar panel is finally reacting the way I want it to. If we look closely, we can see that it is going to change its angle every now and then. Yeah, look at that, it's working perfectly, tracking the sun ever so slightly, and it is very, very easy to set up. Let's swap our battery one more time right here, now that we have all the power in the world. There's just one more thing left to do. I want to create myself a little bit of steel. The reason for that is because we can make batteries. Here we have a battery cell large and battery cell small. I definitely want like 2 more large battery cells and 3 small ones to begin with. But for that we actually need some steel, as you can see, just 3 grams, but still we need steel. So maybe first of all, let's see what kinds of materials we have. We have not enough gold at the moment, so we need to collect some more of that. It is nearby if I remember correctly. Yeah, here we have the gold. Let's just dig up the rest of this vein. Well, I did not find a lot of gold, but it is enough for our purposes. We can turn this on. If you remember earlier, we have placed this furnace down. What I want to do is set up a couple of pipes. We want to do it with the output only for the time being. And we're going to do a temporary setup just so that it works. One pipe goes right here. The next thing I want is a valve. The valve I'm going to put right here. So we can open and close this for the right pressure and stuff. I want some more piping that leads down in a fashion such as this. And last but not least, we need our passive vent, which goes right here. Of course, it needs to face the right way. There we go. So the valve at the moment is closed. What we need to do with this guy is we need to set up the right amount of components to get the steel out of it. And there's going to be pressure built up, but we also need the correct amount of pressure. So it's kind of complicated. There we go. Locker. This should be easy to build. Just 10 grams of iron. Oh yeah, that's gonna make things substantially easier. Check this out. Coal, go right there. It's perfect. Alright, so there's a few more things that I need. For instance, these volatiles. It's actually perfect they are here. 8 is already enough. And now I just need 1 or 15 measly bits of iron. Alright, so instead of cooking up these ores, I actually want to input them in the furnace, but in specific quantities. So maybe we get rid of this briefly so I can split things apart. I do want 15 iron ingots in here. And I just moved the entire stack in there. So let's try to get it out again. Give me that back. Let's try this again. Split, then switch the stack so I can input them one by one. And I want to do 15. There's also a machine called the stacker where you can actually do this more or less automatically. So we have 14 and 15 pieces in there. That is perfect. I'm going to put that back right here. Now I want to grab my coal. And we want to do the same thing, but we only want to input 5 pieces. Let's actually see. We should have the solar panel facing the right direction. Look at that. It is perfect. We never have to do the manual solar panel thing again. Now, with the right ingredients in there, we have the wrong pressure. So what we want to do is open our valve and we will be seeing some gas exiting right here. So this is why you don't want to be in an enclosed environment just yet with all this equipment. But we can observe our pressure, and as soon as we go down to 0, I'm going to close the valve again, and then we're going to create our own pressure thing. And we do that with the stuff we have in our mining belts, these volatiles and the oxide. Now the problem is I cannot do this under the influence of the sun, otherwise it's just gonna melt away and that would be bad. And putting everything in the locker, it just feels better. Even these iron sheets we can place in there. There we go, the pressure is 0, so I'm going to close the valve and now we need to wait for sundown, to be honest with you. So I think I'm gonna do some off-camera mining and I'm gonna be right back once the sun settles. There we go, the sun finally sets. I found tons and tons of ore, also some silver, which is interesting. I don't know what I'm gonna use it for just yet, but it's definitely good to have some in stock. Right, it looks as though the sun is gone. Now let's just make sure. I'm gonna put some of that stuff in my hand and I'm gonna drop one single one in order to see if it remains. And yes, indeed, it remains. So we can open up our belt again, and what we want is actually one oxide and 2 volatiles. So we're gonna split 2 of these guys up as well, and the rest we're gonna put back into our belt. Now, if you remember, we had 15 iron and 5 coal in here with 0 pressure. Now we're gonna input the oxide and then of course also the volatiles, and we should be getting a certain amount of pressure. Now this pressure, if I'm not mistaken, is the exact amount we need if we click this button in order to create 20 grams of ingot steel. And there we go, we can simply mold it out, and I'm just gonna leave this pressure on. It's gonna vent out eventually, I'm not sure. I think I could release it in one big swoop, but well, actually maybe we should do that. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, there we go. Some bad stuff is going on here on the base. You don't want to be enclosed when this happens. Cool, okay, let's just close this off for the time being. I have my steel, that's all I wanted. We can turn the printer on, and we want to go with a large battery cell first of all. So let's get the stuff we need. Battery cell large. We want 2 of these bastards, so we don't have to use the battery we have in this power module anymore. We can actually close this off, and we're gonna use batteries we recharge with the recharger. Oh, actually, I don't have enough gold. That is a freaking pity. Well, at least we had enough for 1, so we can put this right in here, ready to be charged. And I'm actually gonna close this one off right away, because we don't need it anymore. We're gonna charge this battery tomorrow, and then we're gonna be good. Ooh, look at that, uranium. Holy cow, that is good to know. Was also easy to find during the night. Ah, finally, some gold. We are saved, guys. Great, I got over a stack of gold from that. This should be enough to make the batteries and wrap up this episode. It's also just turning daytime. How beautiful is that? Good, we have enough gold in order to produce the last large battery cell, and then we're gonna swap to the small ones. This cell goes right in here, and now that it is daytime, we're gonna switch on this charger and charge up all of these batteries. There we go, we were able to at least produce 1 small battery. This is used for the tools that you have. Good, I have another 12 gold in the joint. I'm gonna create 2 more of these small battery cells. So maybe to help this process, we could throw in a couple of coal ore right here and enable this generator. So we can give this system an extra boost right there. Great, I'm still happy with the results of this episode. We automated the solar panels and we have an enormous battery backup. So exactly what I wanted to see. With that out of the way, I would say we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great time, and hopefully I'm going to catch you in the next episode. Bye bye.